Yo, YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Kari here, back again with another video for y'all today, man. Thanks for tuning in. With no further ado, man, let's jump into today's video. So, I want to get y'all advice, man. I had this situation. It's probably a common situation for a lot of the people here in Medellin. But yeah, I want to get y'all take on it because I thought that I was saving money, and it just all turned out bad. So, where do I start, man? So, if y'all know, last weekend was Valentine's Day here in Colombia. So, since I've moved to the north side of town, I have to rely a little bit more on taxis and stuff to get like to Medellin and stuff like that. And basically, I started using this app called InDriver. Now, InDriver is cool because you get to name your own price on InDriver, and the drivers can bid. You know, if they want to, say, okay, I want to go to Poblado for 20 mil, they could say 25, and you can accept or decline it. So that's kind of how it works. And so I've been saving a little money by using this app as opposed to Uber. So typically, when I first got here, I would use Uber, but I found that in my area of town, there's a lot more InDrivers than there are Ubers. So that led me to using InDriver, and thus it's cheaper because you can bid your own prices. It's not set by the app. Yeah, I've been using it for a few months now, and I thought I found a little hack, around Uber, but in actuality, it turned out bad, and I'm gonna tell y'all what happened. So back to Valentine's Day. It was a normal day. I had plans with my girl to go to dinner, and I was gonna pick up her some roses that I ordered at the local florist and bring those with me. So on that day, it was time to leave the house, and let's see, I called it InDriver. First of all, the guy was like incompetent. He went to a completely different apartment complex, and he called me like, hey, I'm outside, and he said the name of it. I was like, no, that's not mine. I don't know who told you to go there, but I never told you to go there. And he just was like, oh yeah, you're right, I don't know. And so he was like, what's the name of your place? I told him the name, and he was like, okay, I'll be there in a few minutes. Mind you, there was a lot of traffic at the time. I believe it was around 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's high traffic time here in Medellin. So it took him another 10 minutes or so to get to my house. Now, there's a lot of moving parts to the story. So pause that thought. Now, the florist where I ordered the flowers, they were supposed to be closing at 6. And so I maybe had 10 minutes left to get there to pick up the flowers that I think I paid half of the balance ahead of time, so I needed to pay the other half to get the flowers. So I was starting to get worried, like, man, is this guy gonna make it? And so I made an executive decision to take off on foot and walk over to the florist, which was not too far, maybe like a 10-minute walk from me. So I did that. I got there. Of course, they were still open, like business was booming, because it's Valentine's Day in Colombia. Valentine's Day here in Colombia is September 17th. It's not February 14th like in the United States and the rest of the world. Actually, they call it the Day of Love and something else. But yeah, so I figured they couldn't close that early, but I didn't know because I've never dealt with that florist on that day in particular. Had I had this experience before, I would know, hey, they're not going to close at 6 like they said. Anyway, I get there barely before 6, and like I said, it's booming. Like they got people lined up, picking up orders. It doesn't look like they're closing anytime soon, basically. So I get my flowers, and I have to tell the InDriver, hey, you took too long. I had to go, and this is where I'm located now. So I send him my new location, and he says he's gonna pull up. So he pulls up maybe in about 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, red flag after red flag. He's just taking a long time. He seems slow. Sometimes these guys, these drivers, or just Colombians in general, can be stuck in their own world, especially the older men. It can be hard to get them to think quickly. Things that may be obvious, they sit there and like crunch their forehead and start thinking about something. And it's like, bro, it's simple, bro. Or like when you trying to tell them which way to go, they'll be like, I don't know. You know, they'll just have their own way of thinking about it or whatever. So anyway, man, I got in the car with this guy and we proceed to go to Medellin. So I'm going to pick up my girl and then we're going to go to dinner. So we're going. The guy is driving slow, which pisses me off, but hey, at least I'm on the way. I was worried about finding a ride that day because I knew it was going to be a busy day for everybody. Anyway, man, this is where it all goes wrong. So we're going towards downtown Medellin, and if you guys are familiar with Medellin and the freeway, you know there's this part where it goes kind of underground. Not exactly a tunnel. It's probably maybe about 5 or 10 football fields long, and it's just an underground part, and the walls are all white. It's like a city tunnel kind of, and I believe that's in the Laureles area. So when you're passing through Laureles, you go under, and there's like 6 lanes, right? And so as soon as we're like approaching the tunnel, I see him like shift the gear in his car. I think he put it in neutral, so I'm like, maybe he's trying to save gas, because I noticed his gas light was on. And you know, all of a sudden it's like we just stopped gaining speed or whatever. It was like we were drifting, right? And we're on the left lane, so we're going south, and we're in the left lane, so we're in the far lane that is the furthest from like the exiting the freeway. Okay, so this man lets his car just drift, and all of a sudden, like all the electrics turn off in his car, everything turns off in his car, and he's just calmly going to a stop. And by the time we stop, we're in the middle of the tunnel. Man, I can't even believe this happened. And then so we stop. We come to this complete stop. I look at him. I'm like, dog, what are you doing? What the fuck is going on? Why are you stopping in the middle of the freeway, in the tunnel? Like, what are you thinking, bro? And he's like, there's a problem with my car. He tries to start it. It lights up a little bit, but it's not starting. It's not turning over. The engine isn't starting. And there's cars passing us, you know what I mean? Because we're on the left side. People honking and stuff. Mind you, I'm on the way to pick up my girl. I got like 50 roses with me that I bought for her. And I'm stuck in the middle of the freeway in Medellin with 6 lanes of traffic with this idiot driver that decided to do Uber in a car that wasn't up to snuff, that he shouldn't be doing Uber in. I think it was like one of them old Chevy, tiny little buggy cars. You'll see it. I'm gonna roll the video so y'all can see what I'm talking about. So, man, I had no options, man. I had no options. My hands were tied. I'm sitting there stuck. My girl's waiting on me. You know, luckily I left. You know, I planned to be 10 minutes early, so you know, but time was ticking. So I'm like, man, this guy, he doesn't seem concerned. I'm like, bro, I gotta pick up my girl, this and that. He's like, oh well, you know, he just didn't care, bro. I mean, I get it. His car is fucked up too, so you know, for him, it's probably not the best day either. But bro, you over here providing a service for me, and you damn near fucked my whole day up, and it doesn't seem to concern you. That's something that you'll probably see in Medellin, like the paisas and stuff. Whatever your problem is, they don't really concern themselves with it unless they have to. And this guy's attitude just pissed me off, man. I was just super aggravated that it didn't bother him, and he was just like, oh well, too bad for your date and everything you got going on. So I was like, man, I gotta get out of here. Mind you, there's taxis passing. I tried to put my thumb out and get somebody to stop, or try waving down taxi, yelling out taxi. They just laughing, speeding up, and throwing up the peace sign and stuff. I'm just like, man, mind you, I'm holding a bouquet of 50 roses in this tunnel in Medellin, man. I just didn't know how my day could get any worse. Um, and so I decided, man, there's only one option. I mean, I see people walking in the freeway sometimes, and you see actual bicyclists, on the freeway. So it's not as dangerous as in the United States, like walking on the freeway, because it's more common here. You see more things on the freeway. They don't respect the lanes as much, so people move and maneuver around obstacles in the freeway here. But I was personally scared to have to walk on the freeway, because where I come from in Texas, you just don't do that, bro. It's just like a death sentence, because cars in the United States are going so fast, and they're not as used to having to maneuver and move around like in Colombia. So to me, it felt very dangerous to have to walk on the freeway to get out. I probably had to walk about maybe 200 to 300 meters to get out the tunnel and get to a point where I could cross the freeway. So I had to wait for the traffic to be slow enough, or have a break in traffic where I could run across the freeway. And I exited the freeway finally. Left the guy, because man, he's like, I'm calling somebody, and all this BS and stuff. And I knew it wasn't going to get resolved anytime soon. My reservation was for like maybe 30 minutes ahead of time, or in the future from that point. And I remember them texting me saying that if you're not there within 15 minutes, they'll give your table to someone else. So there was a little bit of urgency for me to get up out of there and continue to go pick up my girl and go to dinner. So as soon as I got off the freeway, I waved down the taxi, he stopped, and I was able to have a great night. From there on out, it was a good night. But man, I just want to, bring this to you guys, my subscribers, and everyone on YouTube, and get your opinion, because I thought I was saving money, and now I'm looking at the whole thing differently. Like, also, I have to have respect for these drivers and stuff, and at the end of the day, sometimes these prices that they're charging, or that you can get away with on InDriver, are just not fair for them. And thus, I think the service level is just lower when you're paying people that little. So, in a way, maybe I got what I deserve from, paying so little for my rides. But that's what Colombians do, They try to find the cheapest way, and it worked. But now, when it comes to my drivers and my transport, anyone, from Uber, InDriver, anything like that, I've been tipping them, man, because when I get a good driver, let's say on InDriver, I want to go from Poblado to the north, and let's say I say 25 mil peso. If he's a good driver, he's quick, he's not driving slow like an idiot, I might give him 28, or, give him an extra 4 peso or something, just $1, really. Just because I just want to show appreciation, and it's so little money, and you're talking a $4 or $5 ride from north to south of the city that might take 30 minutes plus. And, for these guys, I just felt like after the experience, it showed me that to be a little bit more given to them, and to not always try to find the cheapest option when it comes to transport. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Have y'all ever encountered this? One of my friends said that he was in the Uber and the same thing happened on the freeway, where the car cut out and he had to cross the freeway to get out of there. So it's not only going to happen on InDriver. It can happen with any rideshare. But yeah, I mean, I learned my lesson, and from now on, I'm planning on, tipping and not bidding so little. Or, you know, I still like the bid small, but I'll take a look at what type of car they have. If it's like the cheapest of the cheap car, maybe I might take another bid that's more expensive. Just because, you know, I don't want to get in a situation where I'm stuck on the freeway in Medellin ever again. And a lot of y'all might say, well, why don't you get your own car? Well, sure. If the prices were the same as they are in the United States, I wouldn't mind getting a car. But I've done a little bit of searching out here, and what I find is like people pay almost 25 to 50% more for the same exact car here in Colombia that you would pay in the United States. I guess it's the taxes, probably something to do with their trade agreement, because I know in America we just buy a ton of cars on the scale of the whole country, right? Because people do leases and they get in and out of a car in 2-3 years and get a new one. Here, I guess maybe Colombia doesn't import as many cars, so they have to pay more taxes and whatnot. And so the cars are just more expensive here. And it's so hard to pay 25% more for a car, and you know the value of it in your home country. Like if you wanted to buy a Mazda that costs, let's say 17,000 in America, and here it's 22,000. You know, it's hard to spend that money when you know the value of it in your country is just different. So maybe in the future, I'll consider it more seriously, but for right now, you know, taking the rideshare apps is just the way to go. And so, yeah, man, tip your drivers, look out for them when you get a good one, and avoid these incompetent old drivers. Not all old drivers are incompetent, and some young drivers are incompetent, but just avoid the ones that don't seem to have good communication skills and stuff like that, because it could turn out bad. And if they pull up in a car that looks like it's barely surviving, think twice about getting in. That's just my advice. Like I thought it was being the system, but it ended up backfiring on me. So that's my story for today. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and like, comment, subscribe. Go follow me on Instagram, and man, thanks for watching.